Hi, and welcome into this deck check of the decks that I'm playing in the Innistrad Championships. This is the day of the tournament. It's a big event that I have worked my ass off for the past few weeks to prepare for. Way more than maybe I should for like what's in it, but I really enjoy doing the team testing. I missed the last championship because I lost a bunch of PTQ finals. So now I'm here, I have a great testing team, and I've decided on two green decks, just my style. Synergistic aggro decks are just exactly what I want to be doing. And this is what I'm playing. Mono green in standard and green-white Heliod in historic. So if we move into the standard deck here, the reason I chose to play this deck is, part of it is just that I know the deck the best. I was in charge of being the mono green tuner on the team, so this is very much my list. And we found out that the deck still just slightly ahead against the Izzet decks, especially as they are more focused on beating the mono white decks of the format. So that's really nice that you have a 52% matchup there. But also we figured out the mono white matchup is not nearly as bad as people say. I think it's about 50-50. It's very die roll dependent, but you have really good plans to win on the draw, and mono white does not have great plans to win on the draw. So I actually think that mono green is just one of the best decks in the format. It's just slightly ahead against the top decks, and it's not by much. If you enjoy playing Izzet more, sure, go ahead and play Izzet. If you enjoy playing mono white, maybe consider if another deck is better. I don't think mono white is very good right now, but yeah, the decks in standard are pretty close, and you can definitely choose them. There's also stuff like the black white control deck that is very decent. You have a few good options. But not many, I'll admit. But anyway, we there's also some control decks if you like that, like Esper control. It's actually kind of neat. But anyway, this is the mono green deck I'm playing, and it is super clean. Just all four ofs, not much there. We're playing the Ascendant Pack Leaders. Originally, I thought this would not be very good in mono green because I thought you weren't interested in a Savannah line. You're interested in smashing big, so I was really into Oddity, but not Ascendant Pack Leader. But I realized that, especially against the Izzet decks, they have all these bounce spells like Fading Hope and Divide by Zero. So it's really important that you just get out ahead of them, play a 1-drop, keep bashing with that while they bounce your other stuff. It's just very important. And other than that, we're playing 4 oddities. It's not great in the aggro mirrors, but honestly, I don't think it's worth it to tune your deck too much for other aggro decks in game 1. You play your 4 Blizzard Balls as you have to, but I don't. Usually you just always win on the play, you always lose on the draw, so it doesn't really make much sense to me to try and tune those numbers, because even if you add a couple inscriptions to the main deck or something, it doesn't really help you. It's not even that good on the draw. The inscription of, whatever, Vitality. Oh, I had about that here. Inscription of Abundance. So yeah, honestly, I don't really think it's worth it. I just want to smash face, have a couple Snakeskin Veils, make sure I have my aggressive curve, and I can just capitalize on that. The one thing I will say about this deck is, well, first of all, there's a couple people who has cut mana from the deck, and I think I toyed with that idea because Mammoth has not been great. But honestly, the thing that makes mono green great is that it is just so consistent. You are playing a 28 land aggro deck that it's really hard for you to flood. It's really hard for you to mana screw. When I say really hard, it happens a lot, but compared to a lot of other decks, the fact that you can get to do this is really important. You rarely color screw either. That's actually the other thing I wanted to bring up. But it rarely happens that you can't cast your spells because they're it's all one color, so it should be pretty easy. And you have a fairly low curve, so you don't really get stuck on a bunch of 5-drops in hand or anything. So, and I think Mammoth is a very crucial piece of making this happen. If you cut them, you have to replace them with lands. At least run 26 lands in the main deck if you don't run any Mammoths, maybe 27. It's pretty awkward. Because usually I lose a lot more games to missing land drops than I do to drawing too many. So I'm just not a fan of cutting the Mammoth anymore. I was trying it, but yeah, I don't really like it. I think you should play 4. Faceless Haven, that's the one thing I regret. I think I would have liked to just shave a copy of Faceless Haven to Heliod Forest, just to be able to cast Oak Control on turn 3 more often, or Werewolf Pack Leader plus Blizzard Brawl. It comes up that you need triple green on turn 3 pretty often, or even turn 5, Oak Control plus Pack Leader. Quintuple green has come up for me before, so Yeah, that's the only thing I wish I would change. The sideboard here is very much lined up to be able to win on the draw. To dual Blight Blade plus Divine Tendrils is just like your game plan on the draw against mono white and mono green. Very important cards to have there. We also discovered Bribage Tracker as like just the perfect glue card for these games, both on the play and on the draw in the aggro mirrors. Because since like you have so many removal spells and ways to trade off, you just want something that's kind of a card advantage card. But you can't really have anything that's too big, like a Brennan 7 or Averable Caretaker. Like we tried those, even in the mirror as well, but sometimes the games are just over before they're relevant. And sometimes when you can cast them because you have the mana, you don't really need much to push you over the finish line anyway, because you're usually ahead. So I decided that it's just better to have the cheaper card like Tracker and like some Outland Liberator, or like one Outland Liberator that can kill the Seeker's Chariot, which is one of the most important cards in the mirror. And then like that's just what you need in terms of big cards. But speaking of big cards, we do have Unnatural Growth, which I think is it's kind of a weird sideboard card. It's gonna look like you could play it main, as I said, like you might want to tune your main deck for the Izzet decks, but honestly, I think that would be going too much. If I like had to tune this deck even more for Izzet, I would start cutting the Blizzard Brawls from the main deck, which I don't really think you can do. So, so they relegated to the sideboard. But against these, especially like now that people have like Hullbreaker Horror and they have like this Hollow Storm Giants, like when they get to 7 mana and you just pass and they have this big, huge blocker in play that's bigger than everything you have, it's so great to be able to just play Unnatural Growth. And either they have to like spend the turn interacting with the creatures that are playing Hullbreaker Horror, because otherwise they might just die, or they play the Hullbreaker Horror and has to jump block, because your thing is just large. So it really helps you like break through stuff like Mascot Exhibition too, like any, you know, big Cyclone Summoner, any big stupid stuff that your opponent wants to do, you can kind of like get over with Unnatural Growth. The same goes for like the Mono Black Snow decks. This is really a game breaker in those matchups as well. They can't remove it, well, they have Containment Breach in the sideboard, but they usually can't remove it, and it's also a way for you to like make your Trampers big enough to like kill them through all their stupid jump blockers, or like get through their Edgar, which is like a huge game stopper for the mono green deck, since everything is a 4/4 and Edgar is like a 4/4 that just keeps coming back. So yeah, big thumbs up for Unnatural Growth in the sideboard. I do like this, and in general I'm really happy with the list, except for I think I should shave Faceless Haven for Forest. Let's move on to Heliod, the more spicy choice here, which I guess it's not that spicy. We expect it to be like the 4th most popular deck in the tournament, and the meta game breakdown has shown that to be the case. So it's not really a secret. But yeah, to those of you who don't know, there's a combo in this deck that is kind of built around. It isn't just a stupid life gain, you know, a Giannis Pridemate deck. I'll get to this Pridemate in a second. Oh wait, hold on, I realized that my camera is in the way. There we go. A Giannis Pridemate. It isn't just a stupid a Giannis Pridemate deck. It actually, with like just like a Soul Sisters deck with Soul Warden and whatnot, it also has this combo of Soul Warden, Heliod. So whenever you get a creature, you gain a life. Whenever you gain life, you get a plus counter. Okay, that's all good. That sounds like good synergy. Scurry Oak. Whenever it gets countered, you get a creature. Whenever you get a creature, you gain life. Whenever you get make a billion squirrels, huge Scurry Oak, end up at so much life that you can't count it. On Arena, you do have a timer. You have 6 minutes to execute this loop, and I've been really training my wrist through the past few weeks, just trying to execute the combo as fast as possible. You can get to like 97, I think I've gotten to, like extra life, and then 97 squirrels. Which is pretty neat. And when you have other triggers going on, you can't do as much, as many times, but you'll get other stuff happening as well, so you don't really need to do 97 times. And yeah, that combo will usually win the game. And then you get like collected companies to set it all up. So that's basically the gist of the deck. You play something against your life, and you combo off. Now, the stock list play Prosperous Innkeeper, which is a card I found to not be very happy with, because I really want, like now we have Voice of the Blessed, as well as Trellisera. Voice of the Blessed being like the big upgrade for this deck from Crimson Vow, that is so much better than a Giannis Pridemate. First of all, because like gaining flying and indestructible and vigilance too. Like that's just super relevant. It definitely gains indestructible like quite often. It's not just like flavor text on this card. And it has 2 white mana symbols, so it helps your Heliod come online, which is also not irrelevant. So Voice of the Best, big deal for your plan B here. You're definitely not always a combo deck. Like about half the games that you win without the combo. If not even more, actually. Trelasera, for like a green-white deck that has those card selection, the fact that you get to scry so much is huge. Like I think this card is absolutely outstanding in the deck, and been very happy with it. But the thing is that Prosperous Innkeeper does not curve well into these. So I really wanted to just make sure that I had 1-cost things that could gain me life. And Ajani's Welcome was the card that kind of came into that we wanted to try and put in the deck, and it has really been overperforming. We started with 2, but now we're up to 3. The thing is that whenever you play against the deck with interaction, like sweepers or just like cheap removal like Unholy Heat, and you play Ajani's Welcome turn 1, it's like, okay, well, like you can't just like untap and shoot my creature because it's an enchantment, it doesn't die. Are you gonna like leave up mana to try and kill my Voice of the Best? And if you do, like I can just decide not to play it. It gives you like a lot of control over the game because your opponent can't just like get rid of your life gain source. And especially if you go like Ajani's Welcome into turn 3 Heliod, like you have 2 combo pieces in play that they can't kill. But you just need 1 Scurry Oak to gain infinite life. So they have to play scared and leave up removal, and you get kind of this Splinter Twin-esque effect where you just go, okay, well if you're gonna leave up removal, I'm gonna like do some stupid stuff that you don't really want to remove. Like play a Soul Warden, trigger my Ajani's Welcome, put a counter on my Soul Warden. They're gonna kill my Soul Warden. Okay, sure, good. Like I'll just play another stupid dude and gain life and put counters on. And like eventually you're gonna run out of removal and can play Scurry Oak and win. So the amount of resiliency it adds is really big. Another card that has been added to the deck that adds resilience is Ranger Captain of Eos. First of all, most of the time you're just gonna search out a Soul Warden, so it just acts as extra life gain effects because I think 10 is too few. So the Ranger Captain acts as a little bit extra, but sometimes you flood on them, so it's kind of nice that they can do other stuff like, you know, be a 3/3, protect your combo, be like 2 devotion for Heliod. It does a lot of small things that are just like pretty neat. And you can also go get a Selfless Savior, which we found to be the best one-off target to go get. We tried, like we had like Giant Killer, we had like what's it called? Serra Ascendant. Like, did you know that was legal? the 1 mana 6/6 flying lifelink. Well, the thing is you don't really gain that much life too often in this deck, so you can't reliably have it be a 6/6 flying. And we ended up on Selfless Savior just being the best thing to go get. Whenever you're flooded on life gain effects anyway, you don't really want to get more. You can get Selfless Savior, help protect the combo, help protect your Voice of the Blessed or Trelasera. That's all very important. So, in general, we've just tuned this deck to be more resilient against removal, which was its weaknesses. And once we did that, matchups like Phoenix was like 50-50. John Sacrifice, I think slightly favored. And you're really, really good against the humans deck. And any creature deck of the format. So I think that Heliod is just like a very strong deck in the format. You just have to dodge the control decks, which even though you have these other resilience pieces and like you have some game, it's still pretty hard to beat control. And yeah, you'll just have to hope to dodge that and hope that you meet humans instead, because yeah, that's all you really want to do. In the sideboard, we have like, you know, classic cards you play green white like Asharn. Dromoka's Command, notable for the mirror as it kills Heliod. Also, notably another upside of Ajani's Welcome is that when the opponent boards in Dromoka's Command to kill your Heliod, the Ajani's Welcome can stand in the way and protect your Heliod. Just a perfect card overall. I'm kind of sad we couldn't play 4 because they don't trigger off each other. So it's a lot better to draw 1 Ajani's Welcome and 1 Lunark Veteran than draw 2 Ajani's Welcomes. Because like you get 1 extra life gain trigger by having the Veteran, and that can matter a lot. That can be an extra scry, an extra counter, 2 extra counters. You know, it can be a pretty big deal. And yeah, like, you know, Thalia against non-creatures things, you got like Skycliffs against creatures. Ajani is your anti-mirror card. Because in the mirror, the funky thing is that if the opponent goes off, but you have a Soul Warden in play, whenever they make a scroll, you also gain a life. And get all your triggers from Heliod and whatever you might have in play. And so it's really hard to like go to massive numbers, because the opponent will also just like have their life total rise alongside you. And so you just like, you know, one player just tries to build a big ball of squirrels and tries to buff them up. And then pass. And then I can just go, okay, well, with all those life gain triggers, I'm gonna scry my Trelasera, go find my Ajani, play it. I'm at like, you know, whatever, 50 life, whatever you put me at, and just wipe your board and attack. So I think Ajani is pretty key in the mirror. It's also just like a very nice. I realize that my face screen is in the way again. But essentially what Ajani says is, if you have 15 more lives than your starting life total, so if you're at 35 life, it just wipes the opponent's board of exiles all their creatures and artifacts, which is yeah, pretty strong. But the weirdest card here is definitely the Bridemaid, and what it does is that sometimes with this deck you are kind of interested in taking out your combo, especially against decks with a lot of interaction. So like Phoenix, for instance, or the control decks, or like Red Black Arcanist. The Scoriox are just not great because the opponent can easily disrupt your combo. So you just left off with this like 1/2 evolve that is like a pretty bad card, and it's basically something the opponent can ignore. And when you're a control deck, what you really want to see is a creature you can ignore, because that means you can get to save your removal spells for something else. And that's essentially what the Scoriox is. So unless you draw specifically Giant's Welcome and Heliod together, the Scoriox is just not something that they need to really worry about, or like if they need to, they can just kill it easily because there's only 2 toughness. So I don't really like to leave the Scoriox against these decks. Your plan B is plenty good to win. Heliod is just an absolute house, and like if you have like good things to hit with company, you can like, you know, get them with like stuff like Ranger Captain and so on. So we have a Chinese Bridemaid and just playing more into that plan B. You could have more copies, but in the end, like we didn't have too much sideboard space. We also usually boarding in Thalia in these. Sorry, we're usually also boarding in Thalia in these matchups, so you don't even have much sideboard space for cards to bring in. So yeah, it ended up it's just a one-off. So it looks kind of weird, but it does its thing. But anyway, the tournament is going on soon, and I posted the sideboard guides in the description to this video, so you can play them yourself. And yeah, when you watch this video, you'll know how I've done, how I have crashed and burned or soared to the top 8, depending on, well, exactly what happens. But yeah, I think these decks are pretty good, and you should probably give them a try.